All right, good morning, good morning. We're going to go ahead and dive in with today's content. A couple of things we're going to be talking about today are Power Session 6, farming, and Power Session 7, open houses. These are two that are absolutely phenomenal because, especially as a newer agent or somebody who's trying to build their business, there's no more effective or least costly way to do it than through farming and open houses. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive right in. With my book will cooperate. All right, page 6. The power of prospecting to a targeted market. $18,000 for 15 minutes of door knocking. That's what Joshua Stern made in Salt Lake City, Utah. Joshua closed 25 transactions in his first year and now closes more than 80 a year. Had an out-of-state customer contact him. Come on in, Jake. An out-of-state customer contact him looking for a home to buy in a very desirable neighborhood. This customer wanted to move to Salt Lake City to be close to her daughter, who would be starting school at a local university. Josh, another colleague from his office, decided to go to the neighborhood and knock on a few doors. When homeowners opened the doors, he explained he had a family looking to move to the area, etc., etc. Josh also left a note with the same information at homes where no one answered. That night, he got a call from a homeowner who was thinking of selling his home. Josh ended up with both sides of the deal for a total of 18 grand in commission. Not bad for 45 minutes of work, right? So that's the story to obviously to kind of get you a little bit more excited about the material we're going to talk about. But in all reality, that can very easily be a strategy in your business that has a pretty high payoff. Page 9, what is farming? What is farming? In many ways, the agricultural analogy works when we call it farming. It's a lead generation technique for real estate agents. It's all about selecting a physical area or group of people, then patiently and consistently tending and nurturing the relationship to one day yield a harvest of buyer or seller clients and an active referral base. Some advice would be to pick a narrow market and dominate it. Don't think for a moment that farming as a lead generation technique is old-fashioned, simplistic, or low-tech. Farming in real estate involves sophisticated analysis and market segmentation. Marketing and advertising professionals have helped us fine-tune our understanding of how to target specific populations based on shared characteristics, interests, and values. These target populations can be called farms, market segments, narrow markets, or even niches. So a niche is a unique, specific, definable area or a group of people you can target for your lead generation activities. It's also commonly referred to as target marketing. Okay, so a few questions to ask ourselves about our farm. Where do they live? Who are they? And what do they like? So moving to page 10, it's a great example. Geographic farming, where are they? Target them by the county, their state, their metro area, their subdivision, neighborhood, their street. Demographic, who are they? Not where are they, but who are they? Age, gender, income, occupation, race, nationality, language, etc. Or what do they like? In which case you're targeting by their interests, hobbies, lifestyles, values, property preference, etc., right? Why might this be important information to consider when you're beginning to do your target marketing? Geographic, demographic, or psychographic information. What does that help you do?
Build a relationship.
Helps you build a relationship, especially if you can speak to where they live or their interests or their hobbies. What else? If you have a target market, it allows you to do what kind of marketing? Focus. Yeah, you can target your marketing to that specific audience. If my farm is a particular neighborhood, do you think it might be do you think I might benefit from my marketing referencing that particular neighborhood and the information in that neighborhood? Absolutely. If I'm targeting a specific demographic, if I was going to market to I don't know, a specific gender or age, do you think my communication might be very specific? Would you market to a single guy differently than marketing to a family? Yeah. Probably, right? So understanding and knowing that information will help you. If I'm going to market to people that have a specific interest or hobby, might I choose to cater the marketing pieces or my communication to those interests or hobbies? Absolutely. What you'll find is you can find a lot of cookie cutter vanilla marketing out there. People will take your money and happily do it for you. But the more specific and targeted your marketing and your communication is, the better results you're going to yield. Geographic, answering the question, where are they? A geographic farm is a physical location and area of concentration in which you will build long-term relationship with homeowners. Demographic. A demographic farm is shaped by the question, who are they? It differs from a geographic farm in that it's a targeted group of people who share some personal characteristics other than where they live. Psychographic. A psychographic farm is a targeted market segment that is based on shared interests, attitudes, or opinions of the group. So it's phenomenal. You can combine aspects of all three.
So how could you gain all three? Like how,
So let's say, let's work through that, Jay.
how could you find out, like, who, I guess?
So let's start with geographic farming first. Let's say I'm going to geographically farm a particular neighborhood. All right. Well, what are some things I can immediately start doing about that neighborhood?
Researching, like, how fast it goes, like the market.
I can look at turnover. We'll talk about that. But we're specific to the question you asked, which is how do you hit all three?
Right.
If I know I'm going to go for a specific geographic area, what things can I start doing that would help me feed the demographic and psychographic things as well?
Like surrounding stuff?
Yeah.
Like parks?
What I would try to do is, okay, if I'm going to go after this neighborhood, I'm going to get a sense for the age of the people that live there, maybe how much they make, and I'm going to look at hobbies and interests. Is this a retirement community? Is this a community of families? Because then all my marketing pieces, okay, I've got geographic covered. I already know I'm marketing this neighborhood, but now I'm going to tie things together by understanding the demographics and the interests and hobbies. That's gonna shape the message I send there, such as have you ever considered blah 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 due to the schools in the surrounding community or something? If it's a neighborhood that has a lot of children, right? My message is going to cater and speak to that. Versus if it was a retirement community, my message might be completely different, right? So you're going to look at that geographic area, then ask yourself, based on the demographics of this neighborhood and the hobbies and interests likely to be within that neighborhood, how am I going to target my marketing and how am I going to speak to that audience, right? So that's how, because can you have 3 different farms? You could. Could you send all 3 farms the same messaging and the same marketing? You could. But would it be as effective as having marketing specifically catered to this farm and to this farm and to this farm? 3 separate messages catering to those specific farms. If they're similar farms, it could be the same message, no big deal. But if I've got a farm where I'm farming lake homes, and I've got a farm where I'm farming first-time homebuyer type properties, and I've got another farm where I'm farming retirement community, if I'm being strategic, I'm probably communicating different messages to those farms based on their demographics, interests, and habits. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Great question. Page 13, myths about farming. Farming takes too long and it costs too much money to justify the efforts. Well, here's the truth. Farming can become the core of your business over time. It doesn't have to cost much. When you hear somebody talk about farming, what method of marketing immediately comes to mind? Direct mail, postcards. You're exactly right. But here's the deal. Farming does not mean direct mail. It does not mean postcards exclusively. That is a method of farming, but there are so many other methods of farming that exist beyond the simple mailer that does cost you money, right? What else is an activity of farming that's lead generating or prospecting? Door knocking, which is absolutely free, right? So let's dive into that in a little bit more detail. Smart real estate agents have discovered that farming can give them a head start in building their real estate business. It's a grassroots approach to real estate. Although it may take time, you'll find that the momentum will build upon itself. The more signs you have in the neighborhood, the more time you're in contact with a particular niche group, the more likely others will be to view you as the knowledgeable, plugged-in agent of choice. Building your farm requires planning and commitment. It's not unusual to have to work your farm for about 6 to 18 months before you begin to see consistent results, especially based on the turnover of the neighborhood. Set your expectations realistically, but steady business can begin to materialize sooner than you think. It depends on the amount of effort you put into direct approaches to the homeowners in a geographic farm, for example. If you're willing to visit homes by walking the neighborhood, begin where your customers are and always introduce yourself. You will see results sooner rather than later. It's pretty easy. All you have to do is start walking the neighborhood, introducing yourself, letting people know you're the real estate professional of the area, and that you're more than willing to help them with their real estate needs, right? When you were a kid, did you ever go and sell stuff door to door for school? Bob, no. Jake, you did? I mean, I used to go sell raffle tickets, right? It's kind of similar. You just gotta knock the doors. And we'll talk about some scripts in a minute. Myth 2, someone else already dominates the farm and they get all the business. Here's the reality. No one is ever as dominant as you think. This myth is most often heard about geographic farms. Why? Because agents hastily conclude that someone else dominates the area because they publicly claim to be the expert or specialist. Just because some other agent says that they've got Rochester on lockdown doesn't make them the Rochester expert. Because we can all say the same thing. Rochester's greatest realtor. Okay, great, according to who? You know, what do the stats say, right? Or we see one sign in a neighborhood and we think, oh, this agent's got a lockdown. Absolutely not. You'd be surprised how much opportunity exists in particular markets or neighborhoods. How do you really know that these agents dominate the market share? How many listings and buyers are they actually getting from the area? Maybe they're just master promoters and they dominate mind share. The truth is that one agent rarely has more than 25 to 30% of the market in a geographic farm. That leaves plenty of opportunity for a piece of the remaining 70 to 75%. Roughly 3/4 of any given neighborhood or area is open for you to come in and start building some name recognition and taking some market share yourself. There's always a business available for a professional to market and prospect on a geographic farm. Don't be shy. You have just as much right to an area as someone who has been working the area for years. I don't care what anybody tells you. It's free for the taking. Make them work for it if you're willing to work for it. If they're working it really, really well, it may take a little more effort, but you can still gain significant mind share and market share. Neither you nor the existing agent who has the greatest market share will ever have 100% control of the business in the farm area. The key to controlling a sizable share of your chosen farm is to stay in contact consistently forever. Does that sound a lot like work in your database, right? A geographic farm is your geographic database. Think of it the same way. I've got my database over here, which is my sphere, my Mets that I'm actively marketing to, and now I also have a geographic area. But for all intents and purposes, that area is my database. I just need to hit them over and over again with pieces of communication, both via marketing and in person, right? It's the same exact principles. Find out what other agents are doing and do it better. There's always room for improvements, and sometimes doing the opposite sets you apart. The so-called dominant agent in the area may not be staying in constant contact with homeowners or providing the highest level of customer service. I guarantee you that's not the case. I guarantee you, if you start door knocking in the neighborhood once a quarter, nobody else is doing it. Now imagine if you did it once a month. If you surveyed all realtors, not just in Rochester, if you surveyed all realtors in southeast Minnesota, or let's open up to the whole state of Minnesota, I would wager to guess that less than 5% actually door knock. I would wager to guess that less than 1% door knock on a regular, consistent basis. How many agents do you guys think you know? How many of them door knock? And how do you know? How do you know that? How do you know that?
Well, they've talked about it. They've done it.
Because they've told. Because they've told.
Point.
Exactly. Because they. So whether or not they actually do it remains to be seen, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe they did it once. Who knows? Very few people actually do it. But if you door knock or you hit a neighborhood and you're strategic about it and you hit them in more ways than one, it could be a winning combination. Page 15. Myth 3: a farm limits you to that area or specialty. No. A farm can be one of your most productive sources for business, but it does not have to be your only source. You are not limited to one area or specialty, but a farm gives you efficiency of time and money. It focuses your business. Once you've got a major share of your farm and you've learned how to best work a farm, you can grow the boundaries of your farm or interest to expand into another farm. When you're looking at identifying a farm, I would ask myself, okay, if and when I locked this area down, what's next? Where do I go next? Do I expand across the street? Are there any areas around this neighborhood that I'm even interested in? Am I looking at a completely different area of the city? It makes sense to begin to grow, lock down a great area with a decent price point, high turnover, and grow it from there because the signage and momentum will build upon itself. It doesn't mean you can't work outside your farm. Just realize that your expertise and knowledge of that specific area and customer base make you best suited to serve there. It may be best to refer customers who have needs outside of your farm to other agents. Make this decision based on your business objectives for the farm. Okay, if you're new, you got plenty of time, you need to be doing your own business, right? Unless you're referring it because it's an hour or more away, that makes a little bit more sense to me, right? Because I have people that, they'll work the South Metro and be like, oh, well, they're looking in Woodbury, so I'm going to refer it. Like, that's like 20 minutes away. Why don't you just go do the business? I'm just like, unless you're so busy that you can't, then you might want to refer it, right? To choose farming as your primary lead generation strategy also does not mean that you should or that you must limit your other lead generation activities. Okay, they're saying it much nicer here. I'm going to say it point blank. Just because you're farming doesn't mean you're not doing any other forms of lead generation. Farming is a supplemental form of lead generating or prospecting in addition to the 3 hours of lead generation you're doing each day, or it is the 3 hours that you're doing. If you're door knocking from 9 to noon every day, great, that's your 3 hours of lead generation, right? But you can't just focus on this and not do the other lead generation activities. How much more effective will your open houses be, for example, if you're a familiar face and you bring the reputation and experience as the neighborhood expert? How much more effective will you be at converting for sale by owners if you demonstrate your knowledge of this narrow market and what it takes to sell listings within it? Next page, page 16. Farming is all about mailers and mass marketing. We'll already kind of squash this one. Farming done well is a synergistic application of both marketing and prospecting approaches. What does circle prospecting mean? You ever heard sometimes, I'm going to circle prospect this neighborhood. I'm going to circle prospect my listing. I'm going to circle prospect my open house.
The people around it.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So if this area is my neighborhood and I'm going to hold this home open right here, well, I might circle prospect around it, meaning all these other homes around this property, I'm going to call them and let them know about the listing that I just took or the listing that I just sold or the open house that I'm holding, right? And here's how that conversation, I'm going to call all these people or door knock them or direct mail them and say, hey, I just took the listing in your neighborhood. Here's the property, blah, 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 great, phenomenal home. Who do you know that might want to move into the neighborhood? Would love to help. By the way, have you thought about selling? Hey, so this is Zach with Keller Williams. Just want to stop by and let you know I'm holding an open house open this Sunday from 1 to 3. We'll more than welcome you to stop by. If you have anybody else that might be interested in moving to the neighborhood, please have them come on through. We'd love to see them, have them check out the property. By the way, if you ever think about selling, give me a call. We'd love to do a free market analysis for you. Right? Those are the kind of messages you're communicating to this area that you're circle prospecting. So, can you circle prospect any listing that comes on the market? Absolutely. It does not have to be yours. Can you circle prospect any closed sale? Yes. Can you hit a neighborhood and just provide them information about their neighborhood? Absolutely. If I had a geographic farm, I would be calling them once a month with some sort of piece of information that's valuable. Nick, if somebody called you every month or every so often, maybe they get you on the phone sometimes, maybe they don't, maybe they leave you a voicemail, it sounds something like this. Hey Nick, it's Zach over at Keller Williams, just calling to give you the quick neighborhood monthly update. 3 homes sold in the neighborhood this month, 2 more came on the market. The market's very robust. Home appreciation is going up an average about 7% where you live. A lot of activity. If you know of anybody interested in moving into the neighborhood, there's options. And if you ever think about selling, let me know. I'm happy to let you know what you can probably get for your home. Is that an easy thing to do? Yeah, I'm not calling just to say, hey, Nick, have you thought about buying or something else? Hey, Nick, here's what's going on in your neighborhood. Oh, by the way, what's the added benefit of me calling and sharing that information?
I can hopefully get your business.
Say again?
I can hopefully get your business.
Yeah, getting business for sure. What was the other one?
What's another touch?
Another touch, mind share, and establishing validity and trust and expertise, right? Hey, I'm not just getting a recipe card from this dude once a month. This guy's calling me and telling me what's going on in my actual neighborhood. Right? And here's the deal. The recipe cards, people don't care. People don't care. Some people might, but if you call, I would be interested if people call me or to call me and say, hey, 3 homes sold in your neighborhood and 2 more just came on the market. What kind of thoughts am I starting to have as a person who lives in that neighborhood?
People like to say it.
Who's moving? Who just listed their house? What did it go on the market for? Who just sold? What did it sell for? Right? People, they're gonna have questions. Well, is Zach 3 homes sold? Yeah. Which home sold? Now, here's the deal. What's your email address? I'll shoot you all the information. You can take a look. I'll even shoot you the ones that just came on the market too. Just open the door to continue to communicate and send them more marketing via email now as well, right? If you'd like, I prepare a monthly or quarterly report for the neighborhood. I can easily send you a copy every quarter or every month if that would be of interest to you, if you would find that helpful. Yeah, absolutely. Let me know. Okay. Moral of the story is it takes both marketing, the indirect approach of mailers and mass marketing, and prospecting, the direct approach of face-to-face or phone time to connect with people in your farm. Pay attention to the mailers and communication pieces of the competition. If you live in the farm area or share the same interest as your farm population, you'll have an advantage since you'll be receiving the same mailers, etc. If you choose the purely indirect approach of mass marketing, it may take longer and cost much more to achieve the results, if you ever do achieve. Page 17, you can stop and start your farming efforts as needed. Well, I would tell you from personal experience that is wrong. You must pursue your farm consistently and persistently and with quality to increase, your results. Once you start a farm, you must stay in contact forever to see the best results. Agents succeed in farms when they completely understand what they're getting into and then follow through, meaning you've set a budget for it, you're committed, you've allocated the funds. When you pull the trigger, you're ready to pull the trigger long term. Right? If you said, I'm going to farm this neighborhood, and you send out 1 mailer for 1 month, and then you stop. And then you decide, oh, I'm going to start, you're going to hit them again 3 or 4 months. You're not building the momentum and the mind share that farming is designed to do if you don't do it consistently. So my recommendation would be, before you start farming, make sure that you can commit to doing it for at least 12 months. Have the funds already set aside, plan out the marketing pieces, and pull the trigger on it and hit it hard for 12 months. And it can't just be the direct mail. You've got to get face-to-face as well. Or if it's direct mail only, make sure it's good. At first, agents are excited and thorough with their contact methods, but after a few months with little or no results, it can be tempting to slack off. Resist the temptation to do so. Successful agents stick to it and are rewarded for their patience and persistence, develop the habit and discipline required to sustain farming efforts. Later in this session, we'll discuss how you can leverage several different marketing and prospecting techniques and tools. For example, send flyers, postcards, letters, post community events, etc., all to supplement the more direct method of contacting homeowners by phone or in person. By sending marketing materials in between personal visits, you will be in a better position to be the first agent your target farm will think of. And, oh, by the way, it's going to be much easier for you to show up on the doorstep and have a quick 1 to 2 minute conversation when they've already been getting stuff from you or have had conversations with you in the past. Hey, Jake, it's Zach over at Keller Williams, just hitting the neighborhood again, saying hi to folks, letting them know about what's going on in the neighborhood, provide some information. Here's a flyer, it gives you all the statistics for the market this year. And, oh, by the way, as always, if you come across anybody looking to buy or sell in this neighborhood or anywhere, just let me know. I'd be happy to help. Is that a quick 30 to 60 second commercial you can have? And if Jake already has a relationship with me, do you think he's going to say, hey, cool, thanks, Zach, good to see you, appreciate you stopping by? Versus, get off my lawn, as Clint Eastwood would say, right? It's going to be much easier, much easier. It's going to expect it, right? So keep that in mind. It's what are you building up? What are you working up to? Remember that you can always find You can always find thousands of dollars for just 45 minutes of door knocking. Do not give up. Be systematic about your lead gen. You can't expect it to happen overnight. It's going to take a while. When you're developing your farm, it's as if you're planting a seed in a garden. You need to nurture it and let it grow. Once you've got it planted, you can't just walk away from it. You still have to water it and wait for it to get sunshine. If you do that, it will explode. If you work at it with patience and consistency, before you know it, you'll be eating vegetables. Otherwise, you'll be looking at dirt. Scripts are a big part of it. Scripts are a big part of it. Page 19, selecting your farm. Again, the niche categories are geographic, demographic, and psychographic, and they overlap, they blur. If you choose to develop a presence in a geographic farm, a subdivision, for example, you'll want to think about the demographics of the people who live there. What's the median age, typical family size, average educational background of the homeowners? Where do their kids probably go to school? Where do they probably shop here in the local community? Is there a local gym that everybody probably utilizes as well? Layer on top of that any psychographic characteristics that may be common among the homeowners. For example, do they enjoy hiking or biking? Or do they enjoy supporting their local sports teams? Right? Because here's where we put it all together, getting back to your question earlier, Jake. If this is the neighborhood that I'm trying to lock down, and I'm hitting them hard, and I realize this is a neighborhood with decent turnover, it's got decent turnover, they're all pretty much families, and they have disposable income, okay, that's great. Now I know a lot of things, right? All these kids probably go to one of the local schools. If they're a young, active community, many people probably go to the same local gym, all within, similar area to each other. So what I might choose to do is, okay, cool. As a business person, maybe I'm going to advertise at the local school or sponsor a sports team. And oh, by the way, I'm going to advertise here at the local gym. So before long, this is how I win mind share. Before long, they're getting direct mail from me. They're seeing open houses in here. I'm doing my door knocking here. And oh, by the way, they're seeing me here. And oh, by the way, they're seeing me here. I've got them locked down. Everywhere they go locally in their community, they're seeing me. I'm speaking right to them. That's how you get strategic. Right? I don't want to sponsor a sports team in Pine Island, have a farm in Byron, advertising the gym at Casson, and door knock just in Rochester. Where's the strategy behind that? I'm spread all over the place. That might seem like a good idea initially. Yeah, I want to maximize my opportunity and cover as much area as possible. But what you're doing is it's kind of like the analogy of if I have a glass of water and I drop just one piece of let's say I drop one colored droplet in there. Well, what's going to happen? Just one drop's probably not going to make a difference. But if I pour a whole thing of it in there, it's going to turn the whole thing red, for example, right? That's what you're trying to do. You want to target a specific area, specific people, based on their interests or hobbies and all that fun stuff, so that no matter where they're going, you kind of got them locked down. Right? That's how you start building that momentum and that mind share. Once you see the connections between these niche categories and ways you can make them work in your favor, you're really taking your lead generation to the next level, being very, very strategic. So with that in mind, let's talk about how you go about selecting a farm to develop and how you might intensify or boost your efforts with messages that appeal to populations within your geographic farm. Page 20. Selecting a geographic farm. It's an ideal strategy for targeting a group of have-not-mets. Choosing a physical area in which to concentrate your prospecting and marketing provides focus to your efforts. Before you select a geographic farm or launch any prospecting or marketing efforts, it's important for you to consider a series of interrelated factors. These factors are: what are your goals? What's your budget, time and money-wise? What do you want the size of the geographic farm to be? The location of the farm? Number of haven't-mets versus mets? Average sale price? 7, 8, and 9 are the three that I've highlighted as most important to me. What's the turnover rate? Excuse me, I mean just 7 and it should be 6, 8, and 6, 7, and 9. What's the average sale price, turnover rate, other market conditions? Okay, that's but then I also want to know number 9, what's my competition doing there, if anything? And your fit, your personal fit for the farm. And a note to number 9 is you would be surprised. Like do this exercise for fun. It's going to be actually very interesting. It's going to sound very boring at first, but it's super interesting. Find a neighborhood and then trace the sales for the past 12 months. Look up every home that sold, and then I want you to see who the agent was, the listing agent, and then tally it up. What you're going to find is at the most, the agent that had the most maybe was like 2 or 3 in one neighborhood. At the most, and they just happen to get a couple there. Right? Every once in a while, you'll see it spike and there'll be more, but for your average neighborhood, for most farm areas, all the sales are spread out amongst quite a few people. In larger markets. In smaller markets, obviously that's going to be a little bit different. But for me, what I'm looking at as a business person is what's the average sale price of the farm and what's the turnover rate. And oh, by the way, is it already locked down by a competitor? How hard is it going to be, or how much money or how much effort am I going to have to put in to go knock them out? Right? Because if I can find a comparable farm that's got a similar turnover rate, similar average sale price, and nobody has it locked down versus one that's kind of already locked down, well, I'm going to start with the other one first, and then maybe try to expand into the other one, right? Versus going into the other one, because I'm fighting an uphill battle, right? So I'll go with what's easier first, or if there's no competition, great, I'm going to go after it. Also, if you know who your competition is, you can kind of speak to how you're better than your competition in your marketing pieces, right? If you're looking at the message that your competitor is sending, whether it's consistent or not, you can kind of begin to counter that message in your marketing pieces, right? If I notice that, let's use a new agent, for example. Let's say a new agent, for some reason, starts to start farming a particular area, right? And I'm also interested in that area. What might I choose to speak to in my marketing material? Experience and track record. Absolutely. Absolutely. Right? That's the way that I'll begin differentiating or shaping that conversation to try to say clearly I'm the guy I need to go with. Right? What's something that everybody in this room can utilize when they're trying to lock down a farm right now? What do all 3 of you have in common besides being dudes?
Good looks.
Besides your
You have cataracts, don't you?
besides your phenomenal good looks.
Number 1 with the company.
Thank you, Bob. You guys can leverage the crap out of that. You all belong to the number 1 real estate company in the world. If that's not something that you're leveraging right now, I don't know what is, right? It's the easiest one to leverage. Page 21, number 1, your goals. First, your success in a farm area is based on the goals you set for yourself. You should begin with the end, your goals in mind as you make decisions about your farm. Your goals can be stated in 3 forms. Market share, meaning the percentage of listings you get in a farm compared to other agents, your piece of the overall business pie. Gross closed volume, or GCI, the amount of money you earn in business in an area, or number of transactions. I like looking at market share because it's very measurable and you can measure the improvement of it. So I would suggest, hey, first off, look at an area, see if anybody's got 20% or more. If they've got 20% or more of a geographic farm, okay, they're doing a good job so far of kind of locking that thing down. I would say make your first goal to achieve 5% and make it your goal to work up to 20 to 25% as quick as you possibly can. And then from there, the sky's the limit, right? Try to edge out at least 5% for yourself over the first year or so, and then really push the limit to that 20 to 25% mark, and then from there, just keep pressing. Because as you build more market share, what is it easier to do? You got the momentum. It's easy for you to say, hey, Jake, thanks for having me out to take a look at your property and talk about listing. And as you can see, I've got the Johnson's place just down the street listed as well. Here's what I know about the market, what's going on in this particular neighborhood. I mean, it just becomes easy. You're the go-to person, right? It's a no-brainer to hire you. And you can do it very strategically. As you consider the other interrelated factors in selecting a geographic farm. Okay, so let me ask you this. So I used the school and I used the gym for an example, right? What sometimes do other neighborhoods have in common? Parks. Yeah, maybe parks that they go to, certain grocery stores. Do they sometimes have a particular employer? Yeah, you might choose to hit up a particular employer quite a bit, right? There's all kinds of things that if you look at this, that, okay, where are these people gonna be, there's probably a local movie theater that everybody goes to, right? Maybe there's a bowling alley. I don't know if people bowl anymore or not, right? There's all kinds of things that if you get really smart about it and ask yourself, where are these people going in other places that I can be? Then you can start building that strategy behind your prospecting and your mass marketing and your farming, right? Farming isn't necessarily limited to the boundaries of the neighborhood. I'm asking myself, where else will these people be and how can I get there?
And start targeting their employers.
Absolutely.
The human resource part.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So farming doesn't have to be just a neighborhood, correct or incorrect? Like, could you
No,
farm just?
I would take the word farming.
Yep.
And make it interchangeable with target market.
Okay, because right now I'm looking to do just multifamily, so from
That you can farm the crap out of that. Absolutely. Yep.
Okay.
That can be your niche.
Okay.
Good question. I appreciate that because anytime somebody hears farming, they think, oh, direct mail, I'm tuning out. Oh, direct mail, door knocking, I'm tuning out. No, what we're really talking about is target marketing. When looking at a geographic farm, it's important to consider the number of leads you will receive from this farm. Will there be enough business to achieve your goals? That's huge, right? If I'm going to farm a neighborhood of 25 homes and one home sells every 10 years out of that neighborhood, might not be a wise investment. Or it could be an extremely wise investment if they're $50 million homes, I don't know. How many people will you need to build relationships with, and how will you build those relationships? Can you host events for neighborhoods? Can you host a neighborhood night out? Can you coordinate the neighborhood garage sale weekend? Later, you will complete an exercise to determine how many people you will need in your farm area to meet your goals. Your budget, number 2. You are in control of 2 limited resources, your time and your money. Unless you're married, then then you have control of nothing. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
No, we have the time.
Yeah, right. You will need to decide how much to commit of each to this effort. Remember that your smartest approach is always to be prospecting based, marketing enhanced. Develop your budget of time and money around this powerful principle. Page 22, size of geographic farm. Choose the size of a geographic farm that is in keeping with your lead generation goals, and then begin implementing proven techniques for turning these habit methods into profitable business. I would say at a minimum, bite off a farm of 100 homes. That's what I'd recommend. Go for 100 or more. But budget everything out before you do anything more than 100. If you can't afford 100, make your absolute minimum 50. But go for 100. You'd be surprised how, like, neighborhoods, you think to yourself, oh, there can't be more than 50, 60 homes. And I'm saying, oh my, there's 150 homes crammed in there? I had no idea. There's usually a lot more homes than you'd realize. At least that was my takeaway when I did it.
Especially if there's like 2 or 3 areas into that.
Yeah. Oh man, lock that down. I would almost just buy those houses. No, I'm just kidding. Just keep my sign right there. Choose the size of a geographic farm that is in keeping with your lead gen goals and begin implementing proven techniques for turning these habit methods into a profitable business. One benefit of a geographic farm is that you have the option to start small. Leverage your learning and grow into adjacent streets or neighborhoods. You can start with a small number of homes in a geographic farm, try out your marketing and prospecting techniques, and if you attain the results you're after, you can expand your farm into an adjacent neighborhood without having to start all over in an area you aren't familiar with. It's easier to meet everyone in a defined area. Given the size of your farm, you may be able to get to know every homeowner personally. That's ideal, right? You want to know these people. You want them to know you. Of course, as the size of the farm increases, this may be difficult. You can supplement some of that with additional marketing. But you know where to find them and can connect with them through the schools, neighborhood associations, local businesses, and so forth. You know what the residents in this area have in common, values. And, oh, by the way, do you think several of these people go to the same church? Do most churches have a bulletin you can advertise in? I mean, come on, it's easy. spend every night at the local bar. No, I'm just kidding. Although that is a strategy.
Farming.
That is a strategy.
Saturday
Yeah.
night,
We're talking about
Sunday.
farming for real estate business, gentlemen, not other prospects. Come on.
Best part.
Right. Use this information to connect and market your services.
Sometimes this goes hand in hand.
Yeah, Jake said it, not me.
I stole an idea from him over the weekend.
What's that?
Sitting there on Facebook, and somebody pops up from a different town.
Mhm.
They wanna sell a townhome, they put a price on there. And there's no other really pertinent information.
Mhm.
So I thought, well, why not? I got nothing else to do, so I'm sitting there with my feet up, and I'm talking to her via Facebook.
Mhm.
And she has not listed it with an agent yet.
Okay.
And she doesn't know of any agents,
Okay.
and just happened to be the town that I talked to her from, is they know my last name.
There you go.
So they connected it, so I told them which company it was.
Mhm.
So if she wants to go any farther, then I've got about a 45-minute commute.
I like your style. I know what you're talking about.
It's real close to him.
So what is it really? So what's your follow-up plan look like?
I'm gonna email her every day.
Even
And I told her,
item
if I can
value?
answer any questions for you, says if I can help you out, say, you know, if you have a question on something, if you need forms, whatever, let
Absolutely.
me know.
Absolutely.
And says I can make some color flyers for
We
you.
are a dominant market player in that market. She'd be crazy not to list it with you. Very good. Number 4, location of farm. Accessibility for you. One key to building your geographic farm is to select an area that is easy for you to go to on a regular basis. For example, your own neighborhood or a neighborhood that you drive past or through on a regular basis. You don't want to choose a farm area that's a great distance away. You need to be driving through your farm daily or at least weekly to check for sale by owners, competition, see what's going off the market. Existing geographic boundaries. Consider the existing boundaries. For example, consider geographic boundaries of a large master planned community. Do lakes or rivers come into play? What major streets define your target area? This makes it easier to communicate with your expertise in a certain area. Think of how maps and builders define parts of towns and neighborhoods. Kinds of home in an area. Is this a starter home neighborhood? Is this a farm of urban condo units? Is the farm primarily upper tier luxury homes? Are they lake homes? Are they vacation homes? You may want to start with neighborhoods of an average price for your town of single family homes. The reason for this is these are homes that are the most in supply and most in demand. Desirability. Is your farm a place where people desire to relocate? How long are homes on the market before they sell? Is the area desirable for reasons such as schools, close to major businesses, access to roadways, physical characteristics, etc.? Oh, by the way, these things outlined in location of farm, these are things that might shape your messaging as well. Number 5, number of haven't mets versus mets. When selecting your farm, it's important to consider the amount of have-not mets you will continually have access to. It's important to select a farm that has a continuous stream of haven't mets that you can prospect and market to and convert into mets. Page 24. Number 6, average sale price. Before spending your time and money on lead generation in a geographic area, research the average sale price of an area compared to other areas in your city. What are the trends? Will this average sale price support your goals, given the amount of time and effort you plan to spend on farming, not to mention the investment you're about to make? You can't just click Rochester average sale price, carve out the neighborhood in Flex, and look at the average sale price. You can do it. Then ask yourself, is this a worthwhile investment? Is this where I want to be? Is it not quite where I want to be? If I'm farming this neighborhood, this average sale price, how many units do I need to sell in order to be in line with my goals versus this neighborhood over here? Because all things considered equal, might it cost me about the same to advertise to these 100 homes versus these 100 homes? Absolutely. So do some thinking or some analyzing about which one will give you better ROI. I might go after one with a lower average sale price if the turnover rate's higher. right? Because that might mean more opportunity. Okay, this one's coming in at an average sale price of 200. This one's coming in at an average sale price of 220. But I can see over the past 12 months, 20 homes sold out of this neighborhood versus the 9 that sold out of this neighborhood. So even though the sale price is a little bit higher, I love that turnover rate over here. So I'm going to go that direction, right? When you're making decisions based on that kind of analysis, that's the strength behind coming up with your strategy. Number 7, turnover rate. The turnover rate for an area is the number of homes sold in 1 year divided by the total number of homes in the area. The national average is 4%. It's recommended that you target a geographic farm of at least 10%. That's why starter homes are such great neighborhoods. The price point might be very modest, but the turnover is big because you constantly have people moving in and people moving out because they're moving up or they need more space. And you've got people that are going there because it's their first home, right? Let's say that you select an area of 200 homes with a 10% annual turnover rate. That means that in 1 year, 20 of those 200 homes will change ownership. Can you expect to get all 20 of the homes? No, I mean, that would be amazing, but let's get realistic. Some homes are passed on to family members, some homes are foreclosed, some homes are listed by other agents. What you need to do is set a reasonable goal for your geographic farm. For instance, to gain 25% market share in that farm. So if I've got a farm of 200 homes with a 10% turnover rate, that equals 20 homes per year. 25% of that is 5 listings in 1 year. If I can snag 5 listings in that neighborhood on an annual basis, I'll be at 20% market share in that farm. Does that seem doable all of a sudden?
Can you say that again?
Sure. If you snag 5 homes per year in that neighborhood, that would be 20% market share. Excuse me, that would be 25% market share. So let me ask you this. The beauty and the power of snagging market share, why it's so important, why we talk about it, is this. Is it super powerful to then be able to say in your communications and your marketing to the people of that neighborhood that you sell 25% of the homes in their neighborhood? That you get 25% more? That you have the most market, you've got more market share than any other agent in that neighborhood. Doesn't matter if it's 2% or 20%, right? No other agent sells more homes in this neighborhood than me. That's why hitting those metrics is crucial, because then you can start legitimately saying things like that, using it in your advertising, and it makes doing business with you a no-brainer. Hey, Bob, here's the reason you want me to hire me to sell your home. It's because here in Stonebrook, no other agent sells more homes than me. Sign here. Of course, most agents who take lead generation through geographic farming seriously consider a farm of 200 homes to be a minimum. Their targets are in the 4 and 5 digits sometimes when you work up to that kind of marketing budget. Like one of the biggest successful farming agents in all of Keller Williams, he farms thousands of homes on an annual basis.
Are they all in one area, or do you get a couple different farms?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I think they're all in the same city. Page 25, tenure, length of time in previous home. The National Association of Realtors profile of home buyers and sellers reports that the typical seller owned their home for 12 years. The typical seller owned their home for 12 years. Now that's an average. I'll give you an example. I just recently, in 2017, I sold and bought. I'd been in my first home for 8 or 9 years. In this next home, I'm going to be there for probably 20 or 30, right? So this is kind of an average.
That's what you say.
That's what I say.
Tell you how it grows.
Yeah. Well, that's not the plan. Okay, so here's what drives real estate transactions a lot of times. Yeah, what's going on in your personal life, right? So my projection is, okay, over the next 20 to 30 years, all of my kids will be out of high school. So I might be looking to then move and downsize again, right? But for now, for the next 2 to 3 decades, I'm going to be where I'm going to be because I want my kids in the schools, right? Mm 14% of sellers were in their previous home 5 years or less. And we're seeing a little bit of a surge in this right now because people that bought in 2011, 2012, 2013, they've only had to live there 2-3 years to benefit from some pretty amazing appreciation. We've had at least a handful of clients for the last couple of years reaching out to us. They've lived in their home for 1, 2, 3 years, and they're looking to move again already because they're sitting on goose egg of equity that they can cash in now. Knowing how long homeowners are likely to own their current homes can be enormously useful in formulating expectations in a farm area. Using the national average of 12 years, you can estimate that if you were farming a neighborhood of 500 homes, you could reasonably expect that approximately 8% of them, or 40, would be turning over every year. That is an annual figure of 80 transactions. If you wanted to control 1/4 of the market in that area, then you would want to list or sell 20 of those houses. Oh, by the way, average commission is what? Let's call it 6. What's 6 grand times 20?
I know.
What's 6 grand times 20? I believe it's 120, right? How much marketing expense do you think you would have in marketing to 500 homes?
$150 is what I just posted up for postcards.
Yeah.
If you were to do postcards, if you were to walk, it's free.
Yeah. Let's get crazy. Let's say you spent 5 to 10 grand marketing to that farm, but you got 20 listings and you closed 120 grand in GCI. Is that a worthwhile investment? Do you think you could slap a lot of people in the face if you spent 5 grand to market to their neighborhood? Absolutely. Right? I'm not telling you to go do that. What I'm telling you is when you start small and you start conservatively and you lead with revenue and lock down that market share, all of a sudden your GCI spikes and you're able to farm more, you're able to grow that farm because you've got more capital. You can now continue to invest in your marketing and advertising, farming, prospecting, right? And nobody, by the way, nobody else is doing it. Nobody else is doing it. Don't discount new construction neighborhoods either. You know, they'll build a home and 2 years later the development's not even done yet and it's already listed for sale again. Continue to market to those people. Nick, did you have something?
No, I was just
Okay. Sounds good. Although 12 years is the national average, turnover will vary greatly on a local level depending on a number of factors. For example, starter home communities will most likely have a higher turnover rate than luxury home neighborhoods. The top agents we spoke with all highly recommended that before agents pick their farm, they do some quick research in the MLS to find out what the turnover rate is for an area. A neighborhood where the median tenure was approaching more than 12 years or more will take longer to produce comparable activity. Using the MLS past sold information, go back 5 years to see if turnover is consistent or to see if you notice any patterns. Confirm the average age of the owners in the neighborhood, regardless of how long a person has lived in a home. The older the homeowner, the less likely they are to move. Tenure in previous home, sources NAR, less than 1 year, 2%. If you're in your home less than a year before you're moving again, chances are something changed with your job or there was some drastic personal change to your circumstance. 2 to 3 years, 3%. 4 to 5 years, 9%. 6 to 7 years, 3%. So if I see, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, let's write up. Nearly 20% of people are moving within a year to 7 years. Roughly 15% are moving between 2 to 7 years. 8 to 10 years, 14%. 11 to 15, 5%. 16 or more, which encompasses a lot of years, is the greatest at 25%, right? Because it covers a lot of years. But to me, my big takeaway is 8 to 10 years. You're telling me out of every 100 homes, 14 are selling if they've been there for 8 to 10 years. That's useful information right there. The same with the 4 to 5 years. Page 26, other market conditions. Use the MLS to research general sales activity, days on market inventory, and home prices, also to keep track of listings and expired listings. Set yourself up so you can get information automatically about your area, and then you'll be able to send it to homeowners in your area. Competition, it's important to assess the competition within your farm. Do one or two agents actually have a great deal of market share, meaning transactions, sold listings, etc.? Or do they have mind share, top of mind status, based on their marketing and prospecting efforts, or neither? Both market share and mind share are important, but considering which is which might help you develop your competitive edge. The easiest way to protect your farm is to continually build trust, to have the personal connections. Remember, no one is as dominant as you think they are, and with persistence, you can become the expert. It's back to what I said before. You would be surprised. There's likely no expert or spoken agent. And oh, by the way, the best way to elbow somebody out, or to be elbowed out, is to surrender the personal relationship. Number 10, you're fit for the farm. An important question to ask yourself about your selected farm is, can I relate and fit in with them? Can I relate to and fit in with them? The homeowners must be comfortable with you and vice versa. You have to speak their language or walk their walk, so to speak. You want to develop mutual trust and respect. Are you comfortable with the price range and look and feel of the neighborhood? Is a country club area the right fit for you? Is a retirement community the right fit for you? Is a busy suburban neighborhood the right fit? Right, ask yourself, if I'm going to go after this farm, is it a good fit in terms of my goals, budget, et cetera, et cetera? And oh, by the way, do I kind of demographically align with the people there as well? Do I psychographically align with them? Because that's going to make things a lot easier, right? Not saying that you can't still succeed if you're not exactly a 100% fit, but it will make it easier because if you have common interests and common values and common beliefs, it's a lot easier to do business with somebody that's similar to you, right? Page 27. Selecting demographic and psychographic farms. It's about focus. You can spend 8 hours a day on 100 different things, or 8 hours on just one thing, and come out far better. Most people use the term farm to refer to a geographic target area, probably because we're talking about a land area. It's fairly easy to describe, visualize, and define the boundaries of a geographic area. Farming today, however, Nick, to your point, goes far beyond just walking a neighborhood and knocking on doors. Another highly effective way of targeting populations is by their shared demographic and psychographic data, their shared characteristics, interests, preferences. Multi-unit homes, for example, like you mentioned earlier. And while the term farm is absolutely appropriate to describe the market segments defined by demographic and psychographic data, many people often refer to them as niches. I don't even like the word niches. I use target market. Who's my target market? Who's my target audience? That's what I'm going after. Page 28. Often demographic and psychographic niches grow out of an agent's specific interests or background. If you have a passion that is shared with a large group of others, why not seek to become the go-to real estate agent for that group? So me, myself specifically, I'm in the military. I happen to help a lot of people in the military. Why? Similar interests. We've got the similar network. We run in the same circles, right? You'll find that very often the target group you work with can be identified using both demographic and psychographic data. Here are some examples. Specific generations like baby boomers and Gen Xers, Hispanics or Latinos, foreign-born customers, second home and investment buyers, luxury home clientele. Other attractive niches, single buyers. According to a Harvard study, 33% of singles are becoming homeowners. I love it because they can be decisive. There's not two people trying to make the decision. Pet-friendly neighborhoods, student housing, waterfront or golf course properties, first-time home buyers, condos / urban development, right? Will your messaging to these target audiences or these target markets maybe be a little bit different? Yeah, if you're trying to be strategic, you can try to capture them all with one all-inclusive generic marketing piece or you can be very specific about what message you're communicating and to who and where. Meeting key people within a chosen target market, networking within its inner circles are primary tasks of this type of lead generation. Working in the luxury home market, for example, would typically entail you making contacts with high-end developers, builders, and designers. Niche farming often offers you the chance to combine business and fun. Building a successful farm means you are focused on building strong relationships. Let's take a look at a few of the key demographic and psychographic niches and discuss how to farm these with a focus on strong relationships and on dollar productive lead gen. Boomer or Gen Xer? There has never been a time where we are in contact with so many different generations. National and international advertising agencies and corporations that they represent are very clear about the concept of market segmentation. Marketing professionals identify the different characteristics, needs, and desires of different groups within the population and then craft a message that appeals specifically to them and preferably is seen only by them. When you too adopt these strategies, you will maximize your marketing efforts. Throw marketing messages out to a broad, undifferentiated audience, and you will waste time and money. If you try to be all, have you ever heard somebody say, don't try to be all things to all people? That's what this is telling you to avoid. Don't be all things to all people. I want to be something very specific to Jacob, and then something specific to Bob, and something specific to Nick, because you're all in different situations, right? Buyer demographic profiles, baby boomers or seniors, age 60 and up. They're selling their family home and downsizing to a smaller home or condo. Their children are boomers, and their grandchildren are millennials, right? So if I'm marketing to baby boomers, my marketing is probably going to consist a lot of what? What message am I speaking to? Downsizing, retirement, easy lifestyle, right? I'm talking about golf courses. I'm talking about HOAs where people are going to maintain stuff for you. I'm talking about security. I'm talking about less maintenance. I'm talking about smaller. I'm talking about maybe more of a community feel where people get together and do stuff, right? Let's talk about echo boomers. They're buying a second home, investment property, or moving up to a larger home. Their parents are baby boomers and their children are millennials. What message or what am I talking to these people about? Bigger, nicer, more updated, newer, investment properties. Space for your kids to grow. Space for storage. Space for your parents to be able to move back in with you. Nick's like, well, hell no.
Use your internet, leave the lights on.
They can rent.
There you go. Millennials, they're leaving the nest and buying their first home or condo. Their grandparents are typically baby boomers and sometimes echo boomers. What message am I sending to millennials? No down payment. Yeah. The message of education. Hey, here's how this process works. Here are the hip, trendy places to be. Here's why it's smart to buy versus rent. Right, all different messages, right? Different messages to different demographics.
I got farmed last night.
You did. Be careful. I don't know what that means, brother.
I know. I was making dinner last night and someone rang the doorbell. He came up to me and he said, "Hey, are you sick of renting?" And he said, "No, I own the place." He goes, "Oh, you actually look familiar." I said, "Yeah, I'm actually a real estate agent and I bought the investment property myself." He goes, "Oh yeah, you did look familiar."
Yeah, so quit talking to my renters. No, I'm just kidding.
He's like, "Oh, yeah, I guess you don't rent it, do you?"
That's awesome.
It's just kind of interesting. So he's out.
Turn the tables on that guy.
Exactly. But good job. I gave him high props for
That is awesome.
getting out there on Sunday night.
Absolutely. So I broke this down a little bit more. So millennials, the age bracket on millennials is interesting. It says that millennials are typically said to have been born in the early 80s to the late 90s, and maybe even the early 2000s, right? So much to my chagrin, I am a millennial, although I highly disagree with this. Okay. And I think so. My view on it is two ways. If I'm a millennial, then I think we're misunderstood. If I'm not a millennial, then these people need to step it up. No, I'm just kidding. The generation after millennials is Generation Z, born in the mid-90s, early 2000s. But here's what I want to understand, because what we're running into right now as professionals we're hitting more millennials, and we're also starting to hit the generation after them now, right? So how are those two generations different? Or what I like to think about it is this: how did those two generations grow up differently? Jacob, you're Generation Z, brother. When were you born?
97.
Oh my God.
What page you on?
I'm on page 29. This is stuff I added.
Oh.
So what's the difference between me as a millennial and Jacob as a Generation Z guy when it came to our upbringing? What are some things that I had that were different, or that he didn't have?
Corded phone.
Yeah, I know what it means to talk about cordless phones and answering machines and VHS. I know what it was like in high school to have the Razor cell phone when that was all the rage.
Oh yeah.
Right? So millennials, they experienced the change in technology, or they're at least kind of aware of it through direct experience and contact, right? Generation Z folks, they've only ever known modern technology. What was the first kind of phone you ever had?
It was a flip phone.
Don't lie to me.
It was. It was my grandpa's flip phone.
See, exactly. What was the first kind of phone that you had?
It was oh man, it was the green and gray one. You
Was
slid
it a smartphone?
Yeah.
Well, it was a smartphone.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't a smartphone. It was
I said don't lie to me, Jacob.
I wasn't lying.
I'm just joking. We have that.
You know what I'm talking about though? Like
You don't know the day without the internet, right?
You don't remember the old bag phone?
You don't remember AOL?
Oh, yeah.
You don't remember the dial-up tone from AOL, right?
is it the
He doesn't know what
Nope, there you go.
And that's okay. We're
That's
not
perfect.
harping on you. The reason we have to know this is we have to understand how our people operate, what they're looking for, and what their favorite reference is, right? Because I've got brothers, so I consider myself to be in a different generation than my two youngest brothers. Because when I was in high school, there were no smartphones. When they went through high school, they had smartphones. And it's completely, and when I went through high school, there was no Facebook. Facebook was not as popular, right? When they went through it, well, I think by that time it wasn't popular anymore because high schoolers were moving to something else. But our experiences were different. The way that they connect with people and the way that I connect with people is very different. I have to understand how people interact, right? Gen Zers, man, they might want to communicate and interact with you very different than other generations, right? If I just try to text or communicate via email only with baby boomers, they're going to say, dude, you're the crappiest realtor ever. If I try to call a millennial or a Gen Zer with every piece of information or every update, they say, dude, quit calling me. Just shoot me a text or email me, right? But you also have to ask yourself, how does that apply to your marketing? Right? Different types of different mediums of marketing are going to be more effective for certain demographics than others.
You might fire off an email to him, you have to print out the template.
Yeah, I could probably text Jacob a link, and he might click on it and go somewhere, right? If I text a link to a baby boomer, they're gonna say, "Who's trying to put a virus on my phone?"
That was this blue line. What is that?
Right, exactly, right? So you got to ask yourself, okay, so if I'm looking at demographics, is that going to impact the medium of marketing I'm using to try to communicate or capture that business and utilize it appropriately? When's the last time, Jacob, when's the last time you picked up and perused some sort of newspaper? Never in my life.
actually last night, to be honest, I was at my grandparents' house. That's why.
Okay, you perused your grandparents' neighborhood, right?
Just for old time's sake, I just picked up my Wall Street Journal
Right.
subscription last week because
Good for you.
I missed reading the newspaper.
So that's the same with me. I will like if we get the local little newspaper or something, I will pick it up. I'll flip through it. I will thumb through it, check it out, right? But there are other people that if you try to advertise in a newspaper, you're wasting dollars. If I'm going after millennials or Generation Z people through advertising in newspaper, waste of money. If I'm going after baby boomers, and I'm advertising in a newspaper, I might get a little bit of an ROI, right? So my messaging and my mediums are going to be a little bit different. Let's look at page 30 for 1 second. Hispanics and Latinos. As noted previously, Hispanics are expected to make up 14% of first-time home buyers and 5% of buyers. When working with this demographic, it's important to know the culture code. For instance, it's important for Hispanic buyers to have both immediate and extended family nearby. Funny story there. I'm 1/4 Mexican. I live within 2 miles of both my parents and my wife's parents. Interesting. I just read that, put that together. If a Hispanic buyer can be closer to their extended family and stay active in their community, they'll be more willing to compromise on property features. So here's another takeaway. If we can identify that the Hispanic community is going to continue to grow here, and let's say that there's going to be more Spanish-speaking people looking to do real estate, well, what might that mean for you?
Learn how to speak Spanish.
Yeah, well, I know what it means for me. I'm not going to learn to speak Spanish. I can get by. I can get by on it. I can get by on it. But what I will do is I will identify an agent that does, and they will be my go-to referral person. Instead of missing out on that business completely, I'm going to say, "Un momento, por favor." I'm going to call so-and-so and say, "Hey, I got a referral for you," because they speak Spanish. Right? Done deal. So think of it that way. Okay, if I can identify this is happening, I might not be able to capitalize on it, fully. But what I can do is figure out a way that would still be lucrative for me to still pass these people off to a great agent that can service them at a high level. Foreign-born customers. I think this is relevant to Rochester because there's a lot of international hubbub surrounding Rochester, right? 16% of all future first-time homebuyers will be from immigrant families, with 11% of all home purchases. Surveys by the Fannie Mae Foundation have shown that immigrants are 3 times as likely as all other households to list home ownership as their #1 priority. Let me read that again. Immigrants are 3 times as likely as all other households to list home ownership as their #1 priority. Why is that? Exactly, because if you're an immigrant, you're coming here to live the American dream, and the American dream for many people is owning property, it's home ownership. Right? And because in some places they really can't do it, or it's extremely difficult, or only the rich people do it, right? According to NAR, half of international clients prefer a suburban area, and about a quarter locate in a central city or an urban area, and 14% prefer a resort area. Again, it might not be something I specifically go for, or maybe it is, depending upon the area, right? Page 31, you can read on your own if that's of more interest to you. Page 32, the second home and investment buyers. I'm telling you, it's a great niche to be going after. One of the most common niches in real estate is the market for second homes, which is larger than most might think. In Minnesota, what does second home mean?
Cabin.
It means your cabin. Yep, I want a cabin.
Or Scottsdale.
Or Scottsdale, or someplace in Florida, right? Which is absolutely true, Nick, because similar to the example I just gave, if you know a lot of people that migrate south or they're interested in purchasing a property south, what might you choose to do? Yeah. What'd you say?
Find an agent.
Find an agent. Nick said refer them. What I might choose to do is I might choose to download my app from Keller Williams called Kelly, which looks like this. Find an agent in Scottsdale or Miami or what have you, add them to my referral network, and make them my go-to person anytime I run into somebody that's looking to buy a property down south.
Or just winter in Phoenix.
Or that too. Or I might do the same. I might go to the Keller Williams office that is in Brainerd-Baxter, Minnesota, which is north, and have them be my go-to people for folks that are interested in cabin type stuff. I've referred maybe 2 or 3 pieces of business to one agent in particular out of the Brainerd-Baxter office, because what's not far from Brainerd-Baxter? A place I go to every so often, Camp Ripley. So I know people in my network, military people, who are always up and around Camp Ripley looking to buy or sell because they might work there full time. They know I'm a realtor because I've won the mindshare battle. So even though they know I live in the Twin Cities, who do they call? They call me. Hey, Zach, I know you. I like you. I trust you. I'm thinking about doing something great. Let me put you in touch with so-and-so. He's a Keller Williams agent. He's a great guy. He also happens to be a veteran. Fantastic. Right? There's always opportunity. Okay. A survey by NAR found that nearly 35% of home sales that year were second homes. I mean, that's huge. Vacation homes, investment homes. 35% of home sales. 3 to 4 out of 10 home sales were second home purchases, right? But think about it, because a lot of times when Bob, when we say someone's going to purchase a second home, people think what? Oftentimes we're just talking about it. Yeah, because they're buying that vacation home, they're buying that cabin, they're buying that property down in Arizona or whatever. But let's be real. When people are buying their second home, a lot of times that home happens to be what kind of property? Investment property. Investment properties, right? Which, oh, by the way, you can service here locally. So keep that in mind too. Yeah, a lot of people are out there investing. The typical investor that emerges from this survey is someone who wants to buy a single family house and consult with a real estate agent in their search. 68% believe that now is a good time to buy real estate, and nearly half, 47%, are strongly contemplating another investment purchase within 2 years.
Actually, I'll let you finish your thing first.
No, I'm good. What do you got?
So I actually came across an objection with a guy I was talking to today that he's looking to invest, but he believes that it's a seller's market.
Yeah, it is.
Right, but how would you turn that into a benefit for the?
Jake, I'd say something like this. What's the guy's name?
Jeremy.
Jeremy. Here's the deal, Jeremy. In any market, you can still find deals. So our job, regardless of the market condition, is to find you a great deal on a property. And oh, by the way, because it's a seller's market, you have the benefit of knowing that you're likely going to see some phenomenal appreciation over the next 2 to 3 years for sure. So if you get you a deal on a home now, and you see some great appreciation over 2 to 3 years, and you're cash flowing, that's going to be a phenomenal buy. Because here's the deal, Jeremy. Over the next few years, the stats show us homes are only going to get more and more expensive. Right? So it behooves you to actually buy your investment property now before it's going to cost you even more in the future. So when can we go look at a home? Okay. Does that help you?
Yeah.
Great question.
That's a solid.
That's solid?
That's solid.
That's solid. This is recorded, so you can go back and listen. Make yourself known as an agent who likes to work with investors. Promote that message in your advertising when networking. Make an effort to meet investors and market your successes with them. Write about real estate investing in the press and on your website. Offer seminars. Become the first person real estate investors think of when they need an agent. I love, and I just get so excited and passionate about talking about investing in real estate with people, because that will change their life. It will change, and people can do it. They have more access to be able to do it than they realize and think sometimes. And it can change your life. It really can. And oh, by the way, if you're a client of mine and you happen to buy 4 or 5 investment properties over the course of your lifetime, I'm going to love you to death. Right? That's awesome. It's a win-win. It's a win-win. But it requires work. Vacation home buyers tend to be a little older than investors. They buy fairly small, something maybe around 1,300 square feet, single-family vacation homes. As baby boomers continue to approach retirement, the number of vacation home buyers is likely to grow. As with investors, vacation home buyers can be reached by a real estate agent who creates a specific message for them. Get to know where nearby vacation homes are located and the features and benefits that attract people the most. Create a unique selling proposition that speaks to your ability to provide outstanding service and expertise. Set a goal to become known as the agent who people think of when they start thinking about buying a vacation home. Or sellers in this niche, or who sellers in this niche think of when they need to sell their vacation. Page 33, luxury home clientele. Similar principle, right? Other real estate agents, yep, similar principle, develop a referral relationship. Determining your farm or niche is only limited by your imagination and your opportunities or willingness to target them. Page 34. The key positioning within your farm is mutual trust and respect. It's more than empty mailers. How are you connecting? How are you connecting with these people? How are you building a relationship? How are you maintaining and deepening that relationship? Page 35 is homework. Same with page 36. Page 37, working your farm. Farming can be approached in several different ways. Every real estate agent looking to build a long-term business should take a serious look at how they can find a suitable fit in some form of farming activity. A farm offers you a targeted audience for which it's easy to develop a cohesive action plan, provides a forum from which you can establish name recognition and trust, meaning build mind share. A good farm can serve as the centerpiece of your entire business because your farm ultimately becomes a part of your what? Your database. The most common approach is to pick an area and then concentrate a range of activities within, some marketing, some networking, some open houses, some door knocking, etc. Here you can work an area small enough that you can realistically plan to meet everyone in the farm. And over time, you can turn those have-not mets into mets, right? Think about it this way. If I said, I want to market to all of Rochester as a single real estate agent, is that kind of difficult to do? Yes. But can you say, I want to market to all of Blake neighborhood?
Yes.
Yeah. You can lock that down. It's basically, it's just a smaller way of saying, I'm going to corner the market. I can't necessarily corner all of Rochester overnight, but I can lock down a neighborhood. I can corner that sucker. I can get market share there, and then I can grow it from there. And who knows, over time, over the course of a decade or so, I can actually start to carve out a large niche of Rochester as a whole. Time versus money. I don't have the money to lead generate. Lead generation doesn't have to cost money. We've already talked about door knocking and open houses, for example. Lead generation is about making smart investments, not about spending money. When developing your farm, you will be investing your time. This time is well spent. The more you build and develop these relationships, the richer your return will be. Establish your reputation first. Prospect to your farm. Let's do the exercise on page 40 really fast. Ideal size of your geographic farm. You can easily build a geographic farm of 1,000 homes within 1 year if you spend 2 hours every other week going door to door, spending only 3 minutes at each door. Let's do the math. 1,000, what's that?
I said, that's some science.
That's some science, man. 1,000 homes divided by 26 weeks equals 39 homes you will visit in person per week, going every other week. So you could cut that down if you did it every week. 39 homes times 3 minutes, about 2 hours. You can make it your goal. Page 42, come from contribution. It's always easier if you have something of value. Page 43, here's getting some strategic. Here's getting strategic with it. Create the neighborhood directory. Organize an annual yard sale for the neighborhood. To start a neighborhood website. Create a neighborhood Facebook or social media group page. Guess what? My wife and I moved into a neighborhood. Guess who created the neighborhood Facebook group? We did. We locked that sucker down because we want to be able to control it. We want to be able to communicate with neighbors and build relationships, right? Want to be able to say congratulations to so-and-sos when they've had kids and things like that, to be able to share information about schools, blah, 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 right? Lock it down. Does it have to, do you have to be in the neighborhood to create the group for it? No, you don't. If one doesn't exist, create it. Invite people to it. Whatever you decide to give as an item of value, it does not have to be expensive. Agents who are most successful at building their geographic farms are very creative in coming up with low to / no cost items to drop off or send to people in their farm. Page 45. I love this. Little residential housing update. You might want to have this information handy about your farm so you know what's going on. And oh, by the way, look toward the bottom. How can you modify this form so that it provides something of value to your demographic or psychographic niches while also demonstrating your knowledge and expertise? I would say it would not be bad for what this once a quarter to be your mailer or the flyer that you're handing out when you're knocking on doors. Knock, knock, hey, Bob, Zach, Keller Williams, just stopping by, giving the old monthly or quarterly neighborhood housing update. Here's a copy for you. As you can see, blah, 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 blah. If you know of anybody that's looking to buy or sell, give me a call. Be happy to help them out. Good to see you. By the way, I got an open house coming up just down the street from you this Sunday from 12 to 3. Come on by if you can, or if you know of anybody else that might be looking to move to the neighborhood, send them on through. And by the way, I wanted to leave this with you as well. We're coordinating the annual yard sale, garage sale for September. Blah, 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 blah. Here's the date if you want to put it on your calendar. More details are coming in our Facebook group. I mean, holy crap. How strategic can you get? Number 46, be where your customers are. There's some thoughts and ideas on that. 47 and 48 have some scripts that you can utilize. Building a farm is all about establishing a base in real estate for the long haul. Josh Stern, a successful agent, has found success in asking the homeowners in his farm for referrals. Now, this is key. Many agents are reluctant to ask the homeowner directly if they are thinking about moving. So instead, you might find it easier to ask them if they know someone who is thinking about buying or selling. Other agents agree and find that people will really think about people they know who might be moving or want to move to the area. Page 48, marketing to your farm, talks about 12 direct. 49, page 49 has an example. Look at the item of value on the advertisement on page 49. To receive a free computerized area home sales report, call or text blah, blah, blah. That was probably back in like the 90s, early 2000s. A free computerized.
Computerized. It has people who learn a computer in it.
Right? Right. Use this app to find whatever, blah, blah, blah. Page 50, 51, some homework for you. I wanted to share this quote. We found that we send off various marketing materials, but if we don't follow up with a personal call or a personal door knock, it's not as effective. If you want to dramatically increase the ROI of the money you're spending, go see the people in person. It's going to increase your ROI. Page 52, building trust recognition. Yep, got it. Page 53. Working toward higher goals, increase the size of the farm, increasing the prospecting, increasing marketing, etc. Any questions on farming? Otherwise, we're going to transition to our next topic. Do we need a break or can we keep trucking?
Take a quick break.
Quick break, says Bob. All right. It is 11:01. We'll pick it back up at 11:05. All right. So,
Is that got your referral?
good job.
For, do you work the Bloomington area?
Oh, you have me a referral?
Yeah.
Absolutely, we do.
Okay, perfect.
I thought you said you got my referral. I was like, I sent you a referral. What's that?
Well, I just got off the phone with a guy, He's looking for a one-story Rambler,
Okay.
Bloomington, northwest of the river.
Okay,
But I don't do that area, so I told him I'd give you his contact.
shoot me his info.
Okay. And then, perfect.
You have it on you?
I have his number.
Okay,
And his-
what's his name? You don't know his name?
Nobody said it, but
I'll send it to my boss.
I'll get it to you. Because I'm already late. I will see you.
All right. Don't forget. Thank you.
I have to send your mom a referral this morning, we'll see how it works out.
Oh, yeah? Very good.
I was asking one, should tell you this because I forgot about you and Carly.
No, that's all right. Don't worry about it.
All of them, give you the next one.
You're keeping it in the family, that's all.
There you go. I asked me if I knew anybody that worked in the Twin Cities area. I'm like, I could drive up there. I'm like, no, I'll set that. I think still recording.
Yeah. What's up?
3 a.m. this morning, the same night. They're running around with pellet guns, all the police officers put bombs in schools and churches. Like, you want to be put away for a while? Yeah.
I tell you. What's going on?
Not bringing.
Right. All right, we're gonna pick it back up.
Okay.
Open houses are one of the easiest, simplest, fastest, and cheapest ways to grow your business. You'll get buyers and you'll get sellers. We're on Power Session 7 open houses. I'm gonna go through this one a little bit faster because we've kind of talked about open houses quite a bit already throughout this course. Are you at the open house to sell the house or pick up buyers and sellers?
Buyers and sellers.
Both, absolutely. The easy answer to the question is both. Open houses do sell houses, and they're also an easy, inexpensive, and productive way to meet potential buyers and sellers. When approached with strategic promotion and planning, open houses are one of the best ways to meet buyers looking to buy immediately. Also, and remember, buyers are often sellers and sellers are often buyers. Your open house may be in a price range that's too high, too low, or it may not even have enough bedrooms, yard space, etc., but you are in a position to help these buyers find the best home. Let them know that you're ready to help. If you're planning an open house for one of your listings, be upfront and honest with the seller and explain that showing the property to lots of people in a short amount of time is a win-win opportunity that allows you to promote the house for sale and also build your business. For many agents, holding open houses is their #1 strategy to build a strong business. If you follow a proven model, buyers and sellers come to you. They show up at your doorstep. Top producing agents claim that open houses are one of the simplest ways to grow your business because from just one listing, you will generate qualified leads who often convert to future business. Page 8, what buyers and sellers think about open houses. 44% of home buyers used open houses to gather information. The next two bullets are even more important. 5% of home buyers found their real estate agent at an open house. 5% of sellers found their real estate agent at an open house. I honestly think it could be more if we tried as agents. I think we could convert more than 5%. As a matter of fact, I know many agents do convert more than 5% because they're actually trying, they're using great scripts, etc. 5 out of 44 open house guests use the agent from the open house. This translates into 1 of 6 to 7 guests. If 6 to 7 visitors attend your open house, you'll likely have the opportunity to pick up at least 1 buyer. Although we don't have statistics on how many sellers visit open houses, we do know that 5 out of every 100 sellers finds their agent at an open house because they're impressed with how they're marketing and handling the property. Page 10. Open houses are only for new agents looking for buyers. Wrong. Experienced agents continue to leverage open houses to generate both buyers and seller leads. And here's the deal. What's cool about it is when you're an experienced agent, you're actually way better at it, or you can be, because you have more confidence, you have more knowledge, you're speaking differently, you're focused on conversion, setting the consultation and the appointment. I found that the more years I had in the industry, the easier it was for me to convert people at open houses, because I just had more credibility, more things to stand on, right? I knew the market better. I could speak to, oh yeah, last year we did this, or a couple years ago we did that, blah, blah, blah. People like, oh great, I think it would make sense to work with this guy. Open houses often get a bad rap as being the technique of the inexperienced. The truth is that many new and experienced agents capitalize on open houses as a strategy to generate solid buyer and seller leads. Open houses appeal as a key lead generation strategy because they offer a relatively safe, non-aggressive sales environment. They provide opportunity for face-to-face prospecting, etc. Page 11, I don't have any listings, so I can't hold an open house. Wrong. Use another agent's listing. It's a win-win for you both. Myth, agents sit at open houses. No, agents work open houses. You've heard me say many times before, are you holding an open house, or are you simply holding a house open? Right? Are you working it, or are you just there as a doorman? Feed your database during the open house. Make phone calls, write notes to people, etc. I actually sometimes, for me, an open house is good either way. If I go to an open house and it's busy, awesome, I'm working people, I'm picking up clients. If it's not busy, fantastic, I'm not being pestered for a change, I can get some work done. Right? I'll have my laptop with me or something, or I'll have a millionaire real estate agent book or something else I can do constructively with that time. Right? Make it a win-win either way. Page 13. Here's some ideas you can utilize. Create flyers that highlight several homes in one neighborhood. Coordinate maps to hand out at each open house. Recommend each other's open houses if you're working with other agents. Share the expense of an ad. Door knock an area. Call your Mets database. Let them know. Drive traffic to your open. Call your advocates. Invite them. Follow up with all of your prospects. Put them on 8x8s. Page 14. I'm going to caveat page 14 by saying this. Sometimes technology makes it so easy that we become lazy or complacent. Sometimes technology makes it so easy that we become lazy or complacent. We simply check the box in MLS that says this home will be open on Sunday from 1 to 3, and that's all we do to advertise. That's okay. No judgment. It's better than nothing. But if you think that's going to maximize your opportunity at an open house, you're nuts. There's a lot more that goes behind it. Number one, before, prepare and promote. Get prepared, know your scripts, stage the house, complete the checklist, promote it. The foundation of every successful open house is careful preparation and strategic promotion. Number two, during the open house, build trust and qualified leads. During your open, qualify guests as potential buyers and sellers. Build trust with everybody that comes through. After the open house, follow up. Follow up with your Mets, the people who you met at your open, and those you met door knocking in the neighborhood. Follow up with the seller, the listing agent, all of your guests and visiting agents, etc. Number four, be the number one market agent. You prepared well for the open. Your guests will be eager for your follow-up. You will become known as their go-to realtor. You will become the number one market agent. And I always like to have things that you can have items of value you can give out to people as they come through your open. Right? Oh, hey, you guys are first-time home buyers? Here, take this with you. It's a first-time home buying guide. It's got all my marketing on it. But here, take this with you. You might find it useful or helpful. If you do, give me a call. I'd love to help you. Page 15. Preparing for the open house. Set goals. Decide which homes to hold open. Stage the house. Prepare to build relationships. Prepare to be the neighborhood market expert and be safe. Set goals. Number of leads you want to get. Number of have Mets you want to convert to Mets. Number of buyers. Number of sellers. Specific percentage of attendance. Number of open houses you will work in a given time period. Page 16. Decide which houses to hold open. Is it in a high traffic area? Does it have special features? Is it in a desirable neighborhood? Is it priced right? Is it new to the market? Has it had a recent price reduction? Things that will be attractive and drive traffic. Number 3, stage the home. A little harder to do if it's not your listing. But things you can do to stage are freshen up the front door paint, add plants, manicure the lawn, etc., etc. Anything that's just going to make that thing show a little bit better. Seller's open house checklist on page 17. Consult it, utilize it if you'd like. Page 18, prepare to build relationships. This is absolutely crucial at the open. You got a limited amount of time to try to start to build a relationship with the prospective client. You've got about 3 minutes with each guest coming through your open house, if you're lucky. If you're lucky. That means you must rapidly get into relationship with each visitor. Always greet them at the front door, shake hands, ask their name, say their name back to them and make a personal connection. I say the name back just because it tries to help me remember. With only a few minutes to build rapport, prepare with who, what, when, where, why questions. These are problem-solving questions and useful in building a new relationship. You can then focus your your conversation to their specific reasons for coming to the open house. Prepare to be the neighborhood and market expert. Basically have the information on hand or at your fingertips regarding that specific home and the surrounding homes in that community or that city, right? Be able to speak to the market in general to demonstrate your expertise and convert them as a client. Page 19, buyers want to know community and neighborhood info. They want questions answered about the home buying process. They want to know about schools. To first-time home buyers, they want to know about the process. They want to know about mortgage information. Sellers want to know market stats, home selling process information, maybe even some refinancing options. They want to know how much their home is worth. So having a conversation about a market analysis or analyzing their equity position might be helpful. You might choose to offer them a free market analysis. Hey, are you tossing around the idea of moving? Great, here's what I'd love to do. Give me 20, 30 minutes of your time sometime this evening or sometime this week. I'll come by and we'll just chat about how much your home might be worth and whether or not you're looking to sell, if it makes sense for you. Number 6 talks about being safe. Okay, use common sense. Consult the information on that page. My 2 cents is this: be smart, have a phone with you, and always tell somebody where you're going, how long you expect to be there. Right? If somebody goofy is coming through the open house, have somebody on speed dial. You can click real fast if you need to. Right? Page 21. To get in this business, to be number 1, you need to be proactive, not reactive. Get the leads rather than wait for them to come to you. No kidding. 22, door knocking can help drive traffic to your open house. Calling your vets can help drive traffic to your open house. Page 24, let's talk a little bit about marketing. Marketing passively attracts leads, so it drives leads to find you. It attracts customers to you through the use of words, color, design, etc. You can be proactive in getting your marketing designed if you'd like. A mix of the two, prospecting and marketing, is what makes for a strong lead generation system. When applied to the 2 general target populations, Mets and haven't Mets, your actions of prospecting and marketing enable you to better convert them to appointments and subsequently close them. Done well, marketing activities can generate many valuable leads without taking a lot of your time. Yes, you'll pay a price for marketing, literally. But what's marketing? But that's what marketing is: lead generation by investing money instead of time. Even real estate agents who prospect regularly find that careful marketing greatly enhances their efforts. A marketing program for a solo agent trying to reach a goal of 36 transactions in a year does not need to be elaborate or expensive. Does not need to be elaborate or expensive. Adopt the right mindset. Think of an open house as a big event. Treat it as a massive marketing campaign and really drive a lot of traffic and interest to that property. Maximize your opportunity. Pages 25 and 26 show the example of signage in preparation for an open house. An open house gives you the reason and the excuse and justification to put your signs everywhere. So do it. Maximize that opportunity. Bottom of page 26. In this example, you've placed your directional signs a week prior to the open house. In the minds of the area residents and sellers working with the competitor, who's the dominant one? This is the power of mindshare that helps you gain market share. Most people remember only 1 or 2 real estate agents. Signage and lots of it increases mind share. Be sure to put your name on all signs. Page 27. Marketing is about branding. Brand yourself. Be sure to put your name in large print on all signs. Put your number on the main big sign on the property line. Some agents recommend not putting your phone number on small signs because it won't have, because it might not be practical. Others put it on there. I'd say your name and your number need to be huge everywhere. Obviously, Keller Williams has to be on there too, state law. But it's all about you. Your name, your brand, your logo, your phone number. Tony DeCello and Diana Kokoska shared the story about a new guy who got into business. This guy had his scripts down. He was committed to great customer service, and he worked every single lead and was serious about follow-up and conversion. If that were like the handful of things I could advise you to do, it would be those things. Have your scripts down, be committed to customer service, and work every lead with the purpose of converting them. The point is this. It took this guy 6 months to lay the groundwork to establish his system, his techniques, and his name in the community. But after that, he had nothing but payoff for the next 6 months. He did $15 million in his first year, all as a result of his open house program. And what I didn't mention before is this guy moved from Colorado to California. This was a market where he didn't know anybody already. Brand new to the market, $15 million first year from open houses. A little easier to get $15 million in California with those price points. But nevertheless, that's impressive, right? Page 28 has some tips for signage. I'd take a look at that. Page 30, great ideas for promoting open houses. Talks about newspapers, mail outs, the MLS, utilizing the internet. Page 32 has some more ideas. I like this checklist on page 33. Not all of it pertains to what you might choose to do, but it's a good exercise in reading through these. Will help you think through all the things that you should or could be doing to really maximize the opportunity that hosting open houses gives you. Page 34 is a great example of some of the activities that you'll do leading up to, at, and after the open house. It's a good reminder. If you're hosting opens for other agents for their listings, be very diligent about calling them and letting them know how it went, give them feedback, let them know some things because we're going to share that with their client. And if you do that, they're going to love giving you open houses. If you don't do that, they're going to give it to somebody else, or they might not give it to you. Page 36, the trust mindset. Consistent quality of your print materials, good conversation, attractive marketing, and well-placed signs will help you develop trust with your prospects. Check yourself with these questions. Have you prepared and promoted your open house with consistent high quality? Have you internalized your script so you can focus on your goals and still talk conversationally? Have you written your goals and developed an action plan for the open house? Have you considered what your agents will be looking for? Have you considered what your guests will be looking for? Know what to do, be consistent. Enjoy your open house guests. People like to work with people who genuinely care about them, who they have a connection with. They will trust you if you enjoy them. Communicate your experience and expertise in the process. People trust competent people. People trust others who take the time to know them. People feel secure when an event is organized. If your competence, your expertise is coming through in your conversation with these people, it's going to be much easier to pick them up as clients. Greet and build rapport. When somebody comes into the open, we don't want to just ignore them or barrage them with a bunch of questions or follow them around like a stalker, right? When I greet them, hey, how are you? Very professionally, my name's Zach. Thank you so much for coming. Here's some information about the home. Back off a little bit. Let them take a look around the house. Build some rapport. Ask some questions, and then open the door to an offer or an item of value that allows you to capture that contact information. which you then utilize to follow up, set an appointment, and convert them. Page 38. Tour the home. Interaction as guests experience the home. That interaction is going to kind of come in the form of really good questions. How to interact with multiple groups, that's something you're going to have to balance. If several groups arrive at your open house at the same time, you'll need to handle your guests diplomatically and carefully. Your goal is to work with the more motivated guests, those who are in the market to buy a home or sell a home very soon. Other guests may be people just checking out the open house for decorating ideas or just because they're nosy. Ask qualifying questions of your guests right away and quickly prioritize them. I would do that all the time. If I can tell somebody, if I've got a groups of 3 or 4 or 5 groups going through at the same time, I'm trying to quickly determine who's actually here because they're tossing around the idea of doing a real estate transaction, and who's here just because it's Sunday and they've got nothing else to do. I'll be nice and I'll exchange pleasantries with those people, but you're not going to be my focus. I'm going to go after the young couple that's looking to buy their first home for the next couple of months. That's what I'm going to cozy up next to and talk to the most, because that's who I can offer the most to. I've got nothing to offer looky-loos. I like you. We can have conversation, but you don't need my services right now. These people do, so they're going to be my priority. Collect guest information after you have given them something first. It's on page 39, the contribution principle. As a basic practice, always give your guests something first before you ask them for something. The application of this principle refers to collecting guest information for your follow-up. Though some agents ask their guests to sign in as soon as they arrive or register with the caveat that the owners want a list of who's come by the open house, there's wisdom in waiting to the end of their tour. I've always been a proponent of not having forced registration right away. I just don't like the immediate vibe that gives off. By then, if you've waited and built rapport, you'll know your guests' needs and can contribute to their needs before you ask them to contribute to theirs. Or you can make them a very specific, tailored offer of value. For example, if they're interested in market trends or neighborhood information, you can make an appointment to deliver that wanted information. Then ask them to sign your registry with their email address, phone, etc. Provide positive statements and neighborhood advice. Go through the house ahead of time, find out something distinctive about the property, prepare at least one positive statement to say when you greet people at the door. For example, this house has a great backyard. The master bedroom has a fireplace in the sitting area. It's fantastic. You want to stay positive for another reason too. This is crucial. Family members, maybe even neighbors, perhaps even the owner's father may come through to check how you're marketing their family's home. Always keep your comments upbeat and positive. You gotta be careful about that. You are there to try to sell the home. But once the buyers have ruled it out, that changes things a little bit for you. Ask for the business. That's crucial. If I haven't beat that up enough, then I'm really failing. How to ask for the business. Toward the end of your time with your guests, be sure to ask for their business. Come right out and ask, hey, would you like to buy this house? Yes, this question can seem somewhat startling, but that's why it works. This question lets you know what they're thinking about. If they're definitely not interested in this home, they'll say no. So that means you can suggest other homes in other neighborhoods without offending the sellers. Their feedback may also be helpful to the seller. Ask for referrals. Sometimes a neighbor is simply curious. They're not a buyer or a seller, but have always wanted to see their neighbor's house. In this case, ask them to refer you to others in the neighborhood, friends, etc. Give them your card and information to pass. Hey, great, Bob, appreciate you coming through. It's a beautiful neighborhood. Hey, and if you ever think of selling, here's my card. I'd love to help you out. That's too easy to do. If you come across any other people, put them in touch. I'd love to take great care of them. Thank guests. Goodbye and thanks. Saying goodbye at the end of the tour is just as important as greeting your guests when they come in. You want your guests to leave feeling satisfied with their time at the open, but also with the realization that you're a phenomenal real estate agent and expert. Walk them to the door, thank them, complete their visit in a friendly, sincere, focused manner. There's some scripts you can utilize on the next pages as well. And I always like to say, hey, you know, if you're when you get to the point where you hire the agent to help you with your purchase, I'd love to apply for the job. Here's my card, let me know. At a bare minimum, throw that out there. Make notes, jot down information about your guests. I used to be terrible about that. I wouldn't get their names and stuff like that. We'd have a great conversation. I'd capture the contact info, but I wouldn't get the name. And then Write down notes. Okay, who are they? Young couple looking to do what? Blah, blah, blah. Take as many notes as you can. Activities to do when no guests are present. Work. Nothing else needed. Page 42. Internalizing scripts is key to productive conversations with prospects. Practicing scripts has helped this agent's team see how important it is to stay on scripts and dialogues, because agents can quickly be overtaken by the customer in conversations at open houses. Once the customer takes over, the agent loses precious time for discovering customer information, customer real estate needs, the agent loses control. Or I've got a group of 3 people coming through, and I've got this person just talking and talking and talking, when in reality I want to be done and shift my focus to one of the other groups because I've got the ability to convert them as a client, not the looky-loo neighbor, right? So role-playing and practicing scripts will help you in a very polite, professional, tactful way in those conversations and be able to move on to the more strategic conversations that are of interest to you because there's potential business there, right? Some people will just keep going, man. Pages 44 and 45 have some pretty basic open house scripts you can utilize. Take a look at them, practice them, tweak them if you need to so that they feel more like you. Same with pages 46 and 47. Page 48 has a great qualifying script. What are you looking for? What's your price range? I mean, it's pretty easy to do. Page 49 also has a qualifying script you can utilize. All right, page 51. I want to spend some time talking about this because most agents are pretty good about going out, doing an open house. If they're even better, they may be capturing some contact information, but so often people always forget to do, or they put off, or they never get around to, the follow-up. The follow-up from all the work you did at the open house, from all the contact information that you captured, is usually where the battle is won. It's the agent that has the follow-up that picks them up as a client. Do extraordinary follow-up. You lose validity with your prospects if you wait 3 weeks to get back to them. If you wait 3 weeks, you are done. You might get lucky, but you wait 3 weeks, you're done. They might already have a house under contract. Send a handwritten note if you got their actual address. Write a notice as soon as they leave your open house. Drop it in the mail the same day, or author an email or shoot them a text saying, nice to meet you, thanks for coming through. Then follow up with a call in just a couple of days or the next day. If visitors want specific market information, make sure you get the information to them immediately by email or in person. Set aside a certain time on Monday and Tuesdays to follow up with people you just met at open houses over the weekend. The beauty of open houses is that they're low cost. If you don't have money to farm, send out cards, pay for ads in newspaper, design fancy flyers. Open houses will bring buyers and sellers to your door. But the key to a return on your investment is to build relationships and then follow up immediately. Refer to the other power sessions we've already done and talk about that follow-up and conversion. Update your database. Enter all guest contact information into your database. Enter notes about them. Start 8x8s and 33 touch campaigns. Track the number of guests against your goals and make adjustments to improve your process. Page 52, again, just hammers the importance of follow-ups and give you some ideas of what you can do to follow up effectively. Page 53, be the #1 market agent. One of the things that I really did right when I started was I mastered a particular neighborhood in my area. By doing open houses in an area where I felt I was an expert, I drove my career right to the top, says Carol out of Arizona. An open house is essentially your remote office. Assume everyone who comes in is interested in buying or selling, or both. The truth is, buyers come to see houses and get an idea of prices. They've got questions. They're looking for some expertise, and if you're there to offer it, boom, you're going to win that business. Sellers come to see how houses are priced and staged. Successful agents continue to hold open houses because it's a proven lead generation approach. It works. They may sell the listed house, or they may find qualified buyers who are interested in seeing other properties. One top producer made 29 transactions in her first year of real estate, and she used open houses because open houses were inexpensive. She didn't send out one card. Her natural talent was meeting people, and open houses worked well for her. 29 transactions in her first year from open houses alone. It's doable, but do you think she had a lot of focus and strategy behind those open houses? Absolutely. Keep doing it until you've mastered it. What questions, thoughts, ahas do you have for me? Anything? All right. Thanks very much for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.